At first glance, the world of Chateauverse YouTube channels feels like a warm, idyllic refuge from the chaos of modern life. It is a niche built entirely on the soothing, almost therapeutic aesthetics of historic restoration, where charismatic creators mix plaster by hand and lovingly breathe new life into decaying, forgotten French architecture. For millions of viewers, it is a comforting corner of the internet that promises hard work, genuine, wholesome camaraderie, and the deep emotional satisfaction of seeing broken things made whole again. We project our own desires for peace and simplicity onto those sun-drenched stone walls. But behind the calming time-lapses, the shared meals, and the rustic charm lies a much more painfully complicated reality. A recent and sudden fracturing within this tight-knit community has proven a heartbreaking truth. No matter how sturdy the ancient brickwork might be, the human relationships behind the camera can crumble without warning, leaving fans feeling completely untethered. At the very center of this recent, emotional storm is a creator known as Yanis The Home Wrecker. His channel name was originally meant as a clever, self-deprecating joke about demolition, but looking back it carries a heavy, melancholic irony. Giannis was the guy doing the gritty, thankless work, swinging sledgehammers through clouds of dust, tearing down rotting drywall, and bearing the physical toll that made those glamorous cinematic chateau reveals possible. For a long time, Yanis wasn't just a builder, he was the golden boy of the extended Chateauverse. He was primarily tied to Petherick and the massive multi-year convent renovation project, and to the audience watching from home, Yanis was family. We didn't just admire his relentless work ethic, we fell in love with his gentle, earnest personality, his quiet humility, and his absolute, unwavering loyalty to the project and the people he worked alongside. When the Petherick supported him in launching his own channel, it felt like watching a proud family lift up one of their own. His channel exploded in popularity not just because viewers wanted to watch him restore historic fireplaces, but because they genuinely rooted for him. A humble guy pouring his heart and soul into every swing of the hammer, completely unaware of the heavy heartbreak that was waiting just around the corner. But in the intensely parasocial world of online content creation, the line between genuine friendship and cold professional obligation is dangerously, painfully thin. In early 2026, the comforting walls of this cozy community didn't just come down, they abruptly collapsed, leaving viewers bewildered and mourning the loss of a dynamic they had grown to love. The first visible cracks in the facade were subtle, yet deeply unsettling. A strangely somber video surfaced on Yanis's channel where he casually, almost hesitantly, mentioned that he had been locked out of the beloved convent project after returning from a trip to Paris. His quiet explanation to the audience that he had simply forgotten his key felt completely hollow, hanging in the air with an unspoken weight. Anyone who has ever stepped foot on a construction site or been part of a trusting team knows the truth. You don't permanently lose your livelihood, your passion project, and your makeshift family over a single forgotten piece of metal. There are always spare keys, site managers, and open doors for people who are truly wanted. The situation felt immediately and undeniably unnatural, sparking a creeping sense of dread among his loyal viewers. In that brief, awkward video, we all collectively realized that something much darker and far more painful was being hidden just off camera. In an instant, the warm, comforting illusion of the big, happy Chateauverse family was completely, irrevocably shattered. Then, the tension boiled over into a painful public spectacle. The comments section, usually a sanctuary of warm encouragement and shared excitement, erupted into a confusing battleground. The emotional dam finally broke when Alex, a cameraman who had witnessed the reality behind the scenes firsthand, left a fiercely protective and highly charged comment on Yanis's video. It read like a desperate defense of a friend. Alex publicly declared Yanis as the single most loyal worker he knew, flat out stating that Yanis was being entirely stripped of the respect and dignity he so deeply deserved. But before the community could even process the gravity of that outcry, the comment, along with the entire heartbreaking video, was abruptly erased. It was scrubbed from the internet in an instant, as if Yanis's pain and his sudden exile were something to be hidden away in shame. Following this devastating erasure, Yanis simply vanished. He went completely radio silent. disappearing from the platform for an agonizingly long period. The beloved home wrecker found himself profoundly isolated, caught in the wreckage of a fractured home he had helped build with his own two hands. Left entirely in the dark, the audience could only watch in sorrow, forced to trade their comforting rustic escape for wild, anxious speculation about cold corporate contracts, bitter personal betrayals, and the deeply unsettling politics that were tearing their favorite chateau apart. When the dust of the controversy finally settled and Giannis tentatively resurfaced, the comforting landscape of his channel was entirely unrecognizable. The grand, familiar walls of the convent, the place the audience had come to think of as his home, were completely gone. Instead, viewers found him humbled and starting over, pouring his energy into a quiet new cottage project for Gwendoline. In his return videos, the cheerful bravado of the home wrecker was replaced by a raw, quiet vulnerability. He deeply thanked Gwendoline for throwing him a lifeline, expressing a profound, almost desperate gratitude for giving him work and keeping his head above water when his entire world seemed to have capsized. He emphasized a fierce new loyalty to her, clinging to the one person who hadn't shut the door on him. But it was the things left unsaid that echoed the loudest. The most glaring, heartbreaking change was his total, impenetrable silence regarding the Pethericks. The very creators who had once felt like brothers, the people who had shared his meals and helped him build his channel from the ground up, were completely and abruptly erased from his narrative. It was a deafening silence, a chilling testament to just how deeply the bridge had been burned, and a painful reminder to the viewers that in this idyllic corner of the internet, even the strongest foundations can be reduced to rubble. This sudden, jarring shift ripped the Chateauverse fandom apart, dividing a once-united community into bitter, deeply passionate factions. Many viewers' hearts ached for Giannis, seeing him as a tragic, innocent casualty. A humble builder caught in the devastating crossfire of a messy, profoundly personal fallout between much larger, wealthier creators. Yet others lashed out in disappointment, accusing him of a cruel betrayal, arguing that he was callously biting the hand that fed him and ungratefully turning his back on the very family that had given him his start. The community spaces, once filled with shared joy and encouragement, transformed into arenas of grief and accusation. The heartbreaking saga of Yanis, The Home Wrecker, exposes the shadowy, often painful reality hiding beneath the glossy, romantic surface of the YouTube DIY niche. Millions of us tune into these videos, desperately seeking a quiet escape from the fractures in our own lives. We crave the profound emotional comfort of seeing broken, neglected things lovingly put back together, step by step, yearning for a guaranteed happy conclusion. But the sobering truth is that behind the aesthetic time-lapses, these channels are massive engines fueled by real people with heavy financial stakes, rigid contracts, and messy, deeply human conflicts that bleed out when the cameras turn off. The moniker Home Wrecker may have begun as a lighthearted joke about smashing old drywall, but it is transformed into a tragic, haunting reflection of his current reality. It serves as a painful, lingering reminder that sometimes, before you can ever hope to build a new life, the very walls you once called home must be completely, agonizingly torn apart.